Hello, hey, it's Andy Stack again for Trivial Go-to-Market updates. This I'm gonna talk about a possible structure for how to evaluate deals immediately, especially going on for the rest of this year. So I've put together a strategic grid for deal evaluation that we can start running some samples through to see some customers through to see how this works out. So the main thing is I've segmented this based on use cases and by the amount of data that needs to be processed. So examples of use cases that we see everything that can be um, lumped together into these buckets: foundational training, fine tuning, stylization. This is the I need a specific tracking shot or camera motion, or maybe a particular type of animation, or compliance and benchmarking. So we've seen pretty much all our requests fall within one of these four buckets, and they require various levels of work. For Microsoft, for example, minimal or raw amount of effort. So we're getting a lot of requests for curated or annotated work right now. Um, this is higher value, more work, but certainly worth it to look into. And then there's the custom clip to spec. Uh, so each of these are scored based on a rubric here across a few different dimensions. It's scored based on the financial benefit. Is it large in dollars, or is it high rate? How competitively differentiable is this? Do we gain additional distribution from doing this deal? How much knowledge do we gain in the industry from it? And is this repeatable? And so what's more important to look here is not on the absolute number, but look at the fours and fives. Those are easy yeses to pursue. If there's a two or three, then we would want to look a little bit more closely before proceeding. Now, Moon Valley is up here in this upper right. At the time, this probably would have been scored a 5 because it was very large in terms of financial benefit, very great from a competitive differentiable standpoint. We were the first to be able to pay out a large amount. And we gained a tremendous amount of knowledge in that standpoint. So maybe if a Moon Valley came to us now for foundational, we might pause looking at some of the other stuff we have going on. So underneath that is more detail of why each segment is scored the way they're scored. I'm not going to get into these right now, but it's a very interesting, this is available to look at. It's a very interesting exercise. So let's take a look at this. Why would a custom deal for stylized be absolutely something we want to take on? Well, that could be very high margin. It could be $500 an hour. It could be up to $1,000 an hour. And the amount of knowledge gained, even though on an absolute standpoint it might be a small deal, it might be absolutely worth looking into. So, all right, how do we actually make use of this when we go to market, and how do we price this? So this is a little bit of a large, this is a lot of words here. But what I've done for each of these quadrants is focused on how do we price this for our three segments of buyers. Are they a hyperscaler? Are they like a VC-backed startup? Or are they a research team that's just doesn't have a lot of money or focused on grants that we might want to be able to, that could become the next VC-backed company, which could become the next hyperscaler. Important to get in with them and help them understand. So one interesting takeaway that, again, won't go into the details here. Again, the overall guidance, prioritize the high score quadrants. And this is really interesting. Subscription versus upfront. What came from this analysis is the suggestion, why don't we just simplify? And if you're doing foundational model training, then, or you're doing some very custom work, then that's an upfront deal. If you're doing any work that involves curated additional fine tuning, then even if you're a hyperscaler, we want to move you to a subscription model. The subscription model is, has wonderful benefits of more consistent, repeatable income, but this follows a little bit like the buying the car and the maintenance analogy. We want to be your ongoing automobile maintenance provider for the life that you own the car. So we want to partner. We want to be a part of helping you fine tune your model in the years to come. You could also buy a car from us, if you have a lot of money, or you could buy a used car and bring it to us. We want to be the maintenance going on and going forward. Or if you're like a research company, you don't have money, you borrow somebody's car and bring it to us, and we will help you maintain it. So that's kind of a very interesting, clear way to think of how we price. Now, there are some actual examples of things that we can try on here in terms of initial pricing guidance. For the hyperscale companies, it's a large upfront, like maybe $20 million for 1 million hours of simple foundational stuff. And then we get them also on a subscription for fine tuning going forward in the millions of dollars annually. And again, for VC funded startups, there could be some additional price breaks to make things a little bit more obtainable. And one example to kind of just talk about here would be, let's talk about ByteDance as a hyperscaler. We could, with the model that they just launched in May, they need robotic training data because they want to be able to have more agentic behavior with this particular model. So we could offer them just flat out, hey, here's a $12 million annual subscription. You get 3,000 hours. Doesn't sound like a lot, but $400 an hour for very specific information that's value add and curated for their needs could be a very easy no-brainer, and that provides an easy way for some ongoing predictable revenue. So I have started also then in creating a spreadsheet that has an evaluation matrix here. You can actually put each of the deals, like Amazon Sports or Moon Valley, select what the use case is and the segment, volume and pricing, and then score it based on scalability, knowledge gained. And then there's, this is just a initial way to say, the decision, is this a yes or a no? And you'll be able to see, margin percentage and, possible for these deals. So that's something that we can play with shortly. And I'm looking forward to, in terms of next steps, I think one of the next step would be, let's test some of this rough pricing structure on our customers. Model this out a little bit more in Excel and go from there.